Good morning, traders, and welcome to the Pirate Traders Morning Show. My name is Charles. Today, I am joined by Lady D. How's it going,
Hey
Lady D?
traders, good morning. How you doing?
Good, good. Looks like the chat. Oh, I'm in the wrong. Hold on, I'm in the wrong
Wits
stream.
gives you the power of AI.
There we go. The chat is quiet this morning. Only
Huh,
four people have said hello. So
really?
let's get some likes. Let's get some comments. Let's get some participation up in her. In the meantime, why don't I jump on and do some quick TA for the day? Those of you that have been following, the brigade for a while, I have sort of different stages that I see the market as being in over a multi-day basis. It might be balancing, it might be trending, it might be getting ready to reverse, whatever the case may be. I would describe this range as a balance range. So the market is in balance, meaning that bigger picture, it's really going nowhere. It might make a little move up or a little move down one day or the next, but it's going to keep coming back to the center of the range. Yesterday was a perfect example of that. If you look at yesterday's profile, it is basically identical to the previous day's profile. Your POCs very closely lined up. Your value areas very closely lined up. You did technically make a lower low and a lower high, but the momentum throughout the day was actually to the upside. You left behind a set of single prints or a single print, telling you the market wanted to keep going higher. But then what did we do in the overnight? We came right back down basically to yesterday's opening price. So our opening price today is going to be lined up with, the opening price from yesterday, in the same way our closing price yesterday was pretty much lined up with the closing price from the day before. So I think that this market is in balance. And I think you can never guess when you're in the middle of a balance area, which way it's going to break. I'm not in the business of trying to predict ahead of time when the market is going to break out of balance or which way it's going to break. The good news is, if I continue to think about the market intraday while I'm trading as being a market that is in balance, looking for those behaviors, I've been talking about it to death over the last few weeks, right? Looking for behaviors that you would expect to see in balance. As long as the market stays in balance, I will be on the right side of trades, and I will only be wrong once, right? That one time where it does break out of balance, where it starts to get some excess, it starts to get some momentum, I'll be wrong for one of those trades that I'll take. But otherwise, the rest of the time, I'll be on the right side of the market. So that is where I'm at this morning. I believe the market is in balance. I will trade it as if it is in balance. I'm going to treat it exactly the same I've been treating it the last few days, meaning the first few hours of the day, I'm going to be very cautious. I'm going to wait until I have a clear sign of what the market is doing before I look for trades in one direction or another. I'm going to be cautious with my entries, making sure that I'm certain about my trade before I enter, and then I'm getting in at the best location I can get in. I'm going to minimize my risk. I'm going to try to take trades where I have very tight stops, and I'm not risking a lot to get into the trade. And I'm not going to fall in love with trades. I'm going to take profits quickly and look to re-enter the trade rather than particularly staying in a trade, assuming that the thing can keep going. I'd rather get in, get out, and then look to get in again. Okay. So as far as which way the market will go this morning, I do believe we want to head back down towards yesterday's low because it was a weak low. There is a little tiny bit of momentum to the downside with the lower high, the lower low, and the value being lower. So if the market is going to test either yesterday's high or yesterday's low today, my guess would be it would be yesterday's low. We have a 45-degree angle in the overnight range, basically from the closing price yesterday down. If the market comes back up to test that, that will likely act as very strong support. Doesn't mean we can't get through it. Just means it'll take a few pokes. It'll take a bit of grinding to get up and through that. So seeing that that's the case, seeing that we have a weak low and we have a 45-degree angle on the overnight high, tells me we're probably more likely to test that low. So do I think it's going to be a choppy trip to get there? Yes, I do. I don't think the market's going to open and immediately go straight to the low. I think we're going to come back up into the overnight range. We're going to look for resistance in there and then get smacked down later on. Okay, so that is it for me today. Lady D, What you got
Hey,
for us?
good morning. So I just have to tell everybody I was out of town this weekend, and it's very rare for me not to be watching the market for even just one day, let alone two. So I really didn't even open charts on Friday or Monday. I was spending time with some really dear friends. But when I got home Monday night, the first thing I did is I watched the replays. So I want to stress also the importance of, for those of you that aren't sure what's been happening in the market, it really can give you a lot of insight if you just watch the replay. Even if you watch it, I watched it like 30, 40 times speed. Even at those high speeds, I can still like see changes in tempo where things are hesitating, consolidation areas, and then it's just really, really helpful. So one thing that might help your trading and just improve your P&L is just when you get up in the morning, take 10 minutes and rewatch the replay from the day before, because it really kept me on the right side of the market. And I was really happy with my trades yesterday. So everything worked out great. So I also want to thank all of you for the comments. I read some of the comments from the chat, and taking your suggestions, into consideration. I wanted to show you some trade ideas and some of the things you guys had asked for. We're going to go over today. So the first thing I wanted to ask Charles was if he could put up a poll for whether or not yesterday morning at the open, I want to know how many of you were biased to the short side or how many of you had bias to the upside, because I'm going to show you some charts that if you were on the wrong side of the market, some ideas you could have helped you stay on the right side of the market for yesterday. Okay, so if you guys can just take the poll really quick and let's see where everybody was. And I'm going to start sharing some things on my screen about trade ideas and reviewing a little bit what happened yesterday. And anyway, so here is my screen. So I wanted to show you, this is the monthly. So I know Jim Dalton teaches this, and this really helps me too, is before the market opens, I always look at my monthly charts, my weekly charts, and my daily charts. So let's just look at the monthly chart. You can see these massive wicks. We talked about that last week. I mean, this means that buyers are in these areas. So I marked here, this is the buyer zone. I even think in our last podcast last Wednesday, we talked about this. I had pointed out where the buyer zone was, and I believe that the market sold off, and then where those levels we talked about is exactly where it turned around and went up. So this is important. Watching the size of the wicks, watching the size of the candles. We're one time framing up for 3 months, according to this chart. So that on the monthly is very significant, in my opinion. Okay, so then I go to the weekly. I think, hold on, let me just make sure. Yeah. Okay, so this is the weekly chart, okay? And again, mentioned this before, this is the NQ, by the way, for those of you that are new. And on the weekly chart, again, we have, some strong green candles, no wicks at the bottom. Buyers are here in this area, okay, on the NQ, that's 18.8. So then over the weekly chart, we have this consolidation flag pattern, and look, we've been one time framing up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 so far. So that's 6 weeks to the upside. So for those of you who had a bearish bias, by the way, is the poll done yet? I want to see.
Oh, yeah. So the results are 65% think it's going up, and the rest thought it was going to go down yesterday.
Okay, good. So I'm with those of you. I'm glad. That means that those of you in the chat, maybe this information has been helping you, because seeing this on the monthly and the weekly in my rule book for my strategies and the way I trade, I would not take short trades with this information in the back of my head, even if it's not. I know Charles is saying, we've had, and it's true, we've had so many rotational days. We're definitely pinned. The bots are in control, but for the long term, these are the things that, before the market opens, you should have in your mind to keep you on the right side of the market. Okay. So that was the weekly. And then this was the daily. So this is the same flag that you saw here on the weekly. It's clear, the flag pattern, but now when you go down to the smaller time frame, it's a little bit harder to, to see it, which is why I look at the longer time frames, but it's still the same flag pattern. You can see the trend is obviously to the upside. Okay. So even on the daily, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days up. However, now yesterday, it was an inside day on the NQ. It wasn't the lower low.
Oh no, we lost D. Where'd she go? What happened? What's going on? Let me see if I can get her back. All right, you're back, D. We got you. You're back.
Oh, cool. Okay, so this is important. We see the doji candle right here, right? That is just caution. We have a doji and then we have a red candle that's pretty heavily, not a lot of wick on the upside. So let's just keep that in mind for today. Okay, so that was just, I wanted to show you guys by looking on the higher time frames why we, especially yesterday, should have been on the upside. Okay, so now let me go back to yesterday's charts. So this was yesterday. Coming in, and we talked about this in terms of the pre-market. We were talking about this last week. I'm testing some new strategies to try to figure out, what information can be gleaned in the pre-market as to where like the larger institutions are hedging their bets for the day. This is just, this was from 4:15 in the morning till the open. This is through like 8:45 in the morning. So you can see, it looks to me when you see this, people are accumulating positions, whether it's long or short, it's a little bit hard to tell. But when we had this candle down here at 7:45 that ended green, and we had this big wick going into the open too, these are signs to look for longs, in my opinion. So also we talked a little bit about the retest failure trade, and that happens between 4 and 8 candles on the 15-minute charts. Here you have the green candle. You had 1, 2, 3 15-minute periods. It came back down. It tested that area. And again, it's not always exact. These lows, it's not exacting levels, but you had another green candle that closed here. That top of the green candle could be a retest failure trade entry. Since a lot of you were talking about, we want to hear, what are your trade ideas? There's a trade idea. And if you're new to trading, I know this looks like a lot of risk to be taking, but just trade 1 micro, put your stop below the retest failure area, put your limit buy above, and you would have had this big move up at least before the market started consolidating and going like nowhere for 3 hours. But anyway, that for me is something I wanted to share with you from yesterday. Here was the consolidation area that went on for hours and hours. And then Charles, you were hilarious when you came back. You stepped away from the charts and you were like, look, I went to unpack something and then the market just had this massive move. Well, this was the massive move. Okay. When it finally broke out, here it was. So for me, this was the trade of the day. You had the retest failure trade. You could have made a lot of money on just going up to the top of this flag and then the breakout. And this breakout, I think, is a significant thing to keep in mind for today also. So that was that chart. This, again, it's the same chart. It's just, it looks a little different because the way the candles are together. But this breakout happened. The reason I took this picture was because it was at 12:22. So for most of us, we were sitting there watching from, I don't know, let's see, 9:15 till 12:22 with the market just consolidating and going nowhere, no clear trades. They frustrated us like crazy, as Charles, you've been talking about in the brigade. And then when that breakout happens, it's a big move. So patience again. To be a successful trader, if you could have sat there, I sat there through the whole 3 hours, just waiting and waiting, waiting. And then, when it finally broke, there was a lot of money to be made there. The other thing I wanted to discuss too, for those of you asking for trade ideas, is that when you see a flag pattern that looks like this, and the flags come in many different ways, they can be, this is just your typical pattern, but there's usually a pull leading up to the consolidation. And this is what would be called the flag pull. And because it's green and because it's bullish, the percentages, I think it's 73% more like, I have to look up exactly. It's approximately that, but the likelihood of it breaking to the upside is higher if the pole is green, which it is. So I just wanted to point that out for those of you that were asking for information about trades. Also, this was something I had done. This was from 1017. So this was the big trend. There was a lot of movement to the upside. I wanted to show those of you who struggle on trend days, because I really struggled on trend days when I was a brand new trader, and I would get so frustrated because I just didn't know how to trade them. And, I would see the market make these massive moves and I just wasn't in a trade because I was too scared to get in. And so for those of you that have any trouble on trend days, there's still a lot of opportunities, even if you don't catch the massive trends. And also for those of you with small accounts, when I first started trading, I had such a small account that I could literally I had no margin. So my entries had to be precise. Everything had to be really small scalps. And it was very frustrating. So I understand for those of you that are new and starting with a smaller account, here's a way you can build your account up with small scalps. You've got a flag consolidation here, flag pulls green, it broke to the upside. Again, you had another flag consolidation here, pulls green, it broke to the upside. There's another flag here, broke to the upside. Now, as the trend, as the day gets near the end of the day, sometimes it becomes a little bit harder for the breakouts to be as obvious. Like this was a trade. First, it broke the flag to the downside, but then it still ended up breaking to the upside. So anyway, if anyone has any questions about these smaller flag patterns that form within a major trend day, these are ways you can still make a little bit of money without feeling like you have to catch the whole trend or stay in the trade all day. So that I wanted to share with you. And I think that's pretty much it from the charts I wanted to share. Let's talk about my charts from today on the window trader. So again, I just want to show the patterns that I see. We've had so many. If you're a flag pattern trader like me, there's just been so many. Okay, so yesterday, first one, I just showed you this on the candlestick charts, but here's what it looks like on window trader. Here's your flag. Here's your breakout. Okay, then again, here's another flag at the end of the day. So we really have two consolidation areas. So I believe today we're going to find support at the top of one of these consolidation areas. However, I also want to be cognizant of the fact that the pullback yesterday and the G period is right here. So if we get, that's called the afternoon pullback. If we get below that level, then I'm going to do nothing, wait for more information, and maybe change my bias, which is still, for me, to the upside. On the NQ, we do not have a lower low. We still have it slightly. Here was the low from the 21st. Here's the low from the 22nd. So we still are in an uptrend. And I have these daily. So the other thing that's making me question my up bias for today is we still have this daily trend here. Yesterday, we looked above on the breakout. But what happened? We came back in. So this could be a look above and fail. So I'm watching for that today. And again, this consolidation, this is going to be support and resistance for today, I believe, too, what Charles said on the overnight and the overnight range. So that's what I have. I would love to know if anyone has, any questions about any of that or any information you want me to share with you on Friday. I can try to find some more examples. Charles, what are your thoughts?
Okay. I do not concur. I do not agree with your bullish bias for today. To me, looking at the NQ here, let me just throw up my chart. Oh, she disappeared again.
Uh-oh, I just lost you.
We can still hear you, but we can't see you. Hold on. Let me see if I can turn it back on again. Yeah, your camera's disappeared. But we can still hear you. So
Charles, I can't hear you, sadly.
Oh, but you can't hear me. Technology. Anyway, let me just make my point, and then we will try to get reconnected once again. Yeah, so basically, she was saying that she's bullish on the NQ. I'm not. When I look at the NQ here, this to me, there's nothing bullish about it, right? This to me is just straight up balance, which tells me there is a 50% chance it goes up and a 50% chance it goes down. Now, that doesn't mean I can't take long trades today, right? It doesn't mean there wouldn't be opportunities to go long and make money to the upside, but at market open, I don't see that at all. I see it as completely uncertain, and the market could break either way. Just because this is a pinned market, it is a market that is in balance, and you're right smack dab in the middle. So, if everyone is seeing higher highs and higher lows yesterday and thinking the market is going to go up, it actually has a higher chance of going down, right? Because if people are buying calls, if they're buying calls on Tesla, they're buying calls on Apple, and they're buying calls on Amazon, right? Then the market is actually more likely to go sideways or down because of the hedging from the options market. All right, let me see if I can get D back. I can hear myself in the background, but I can't see you, dude. So I'm going to disconnect you. Try to connect again. If not, it'll be just me, all alone. Not much else to talk about. There are a few questions in the chat. that I wanted to get to. The first is, are there, the person said, we are one time framing down now, though, past 3 days. Does that mean bigger context? So, we're looking at the ES, and you are right. We've had technically a trend down in the ES for the last 3 days. We've made lower highs and lower lows and had value overlapping to lower each day. But this is the context. The context is, do we have a massive trend down the way we had a trend up in here? Or are we just balancing inside a range, meaning we're just moving from the upper end of the range to the lower end of the range? In my opinion, this is just balance. It is just the market moving to the opposite end of the range. It is not true real momentum. For me to start to get bearish on a daily context, I would need to see the market get down below this week low at 58.53. Somewhere around here is our balance area low. So I need to see the market get down below there and get new selling. Then I would trust momentum down. All right, let's give D one more chance here. See if we can get her going. No. All right. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. Sorry, Lady D. Appreciate you. Appreciate what you covered, and I will let you know if any questions pop up for you. So, yeah. Yes, there's a downtrend, but I still just see this market as in balance. So that downtrend tells me we're more likely to test that balance area low around 53 than we are to turn around and test yesterday's high, but it's not really bearish bigger than that. Beyond that. So Robert, actually, I just answered this question. He says, what are you looking at for a break of the balance to the downside? Yeah, like I said, this low at 53 right here, this is an extremely important low. Okay, it was very, very weak. It was a low from the weekend. It was a low from the overnight, and then it was a low again in the regular trading hours. So bigger picture swing trading wise, there's a lot of stops down here. There's a lot of liquidity that the market is hungry for. It wants to chomp those orders up. So I suspect it can get down there. That doesn't mean I should be bearish, right? Once we get there, because we may chew up all those stops and then turn around and head right back up. As a matter of fact, that is more likely in my mind than that we get below and get new selling and continue lower because of the weak all-time high. Okay. So I would not be bearish until we got below there and got new selling. That would get me bearish. Now, intraday, I can be bearish for little moves to get down there, but not bearish bigger picture. There is also the conversation happening now that maybe the market's going nowhere until the election. I disagree. I vehemently disagree with that. Anytime I hear people talking about, oh, the market is going to go sideways until the FOMC. Oh, the market is going to go sideways until a triple witching. Oh, the market is going to go sideways until such and such an event. Every time I hear people saying that, the more and more of them that are saying it, the more likely that the market has a random 150 point day. Okay. So I don't think the market has to go nowhere until the election. I could easily see us, slowly working our way down to the low and then having a massive reversal day to the upside or a massive break lower or same thing at the high. Okay. So we're stuck in a balance area as of today, right now at market open. Yes, we're still in balance. Yes, we're expecting chop. Yes, we're expecting grind. Yes, we're expecting a lot of fake outs. Yes, we're expecting random reversals. Yes, we are still, but it could change at any moment. So don't sit there and convince yourself this market can't do anything until the election, because anything can happen. All right, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate you. If you've got any final comments that we missed, bring them up in the brigade stream and we'll tackle them there. We'll see you there in 4 minutes. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.